Welcome to another episode of the Just Elite podcast. With me today, South African Letchen du Plessis, who came second in the world at the CrossFit Games 2021, NoBull Crossfit Games. Letchen, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Just give us a short summary of your experience this past week.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. But when normally people ask me, like, just give us a short experience, like there's no words I can actually put together to describe like the whole experience. It is absolutely fantastic, and you get to meet so many cool people, and we didn't get treated any differently than all the other athletes. We were treated like royalty the whole way through. The people over there, they're amazing, and also the competitors, you're just one big family, everybody's rooting for everyone. So yeah, there's absolutely no words that I could put together in a sentence to describe the whole experience, but it was absolutely magical. And also the support that I got from home was also amazing. It made like everything worth it as well.
Letchen, you can see on all your pictures on Instagram and on Facebook that you posted, it's a constant smile. Even on the competition floor, you can see the joy in your face. You are obviously a born competitor. Let's go back a few years. Let's start out with where sport started for you. I know you were a very well-accomplished netball player as well. But let's go back. Where did sport start for you, and how did it evolve into CrossFit?
So yeah, I've been doing sports, I think, since I was born. My parents are both, my mom was a South African sprinter, and my dad played rugby. So we were always involved in sports. So I actually started out a swimmer. I swam for the province national colors, and then I decided, I think in high school, I got a netball scholarship, as I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to focus on netball. And then, I got a netball scholarship at Menlo Park High School here in Pretoria. Played netball, and then I got injured in grade 9, and then someone told me, hey, come join me at water polo practice. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to try this water polo thing. And I absolutely love the water polo. So then from grade 9, I've played for Turkeys. I played water polo since I was grade 9 till matric for Tucks, and that was absolutely fantastic and so fun. And I still continued with the netball. Netball and water polo is the same route and everything. And then when I got to matric, I got a netball scholarship at Pikke, so Potchefstroom University. So I decided, and I had in the pipeline. Also, I had a scholarship from the University of Monterey Bay, California, for water polo. So I had a choice to make, and I decided to go with netball. Water polo, it was a nice thing, but I didn't see a future for myself in water polo. I know that like studying at America would be absolutely fantastic, but I haven't left home since. I've been always home. So going away from home and just having no one there and stuff, I didn't like feel like going. So I decided to go to Potchefstroom. And within like three months of being in Potchefstroom, I got injured. So then my netball career was over. But
what injury did you have?
I dislocated my hip during a netball practice, like literally the last 5 minutes. So that was not a very fun experience. But so CrossFit basically started for me in grade 8, because we were kind of not forced, but for our netball team, we had to do CrossFit in Monday mornings, Wednesday and Friday mornings, just as a conditioning piece to stop us from getting injured, make sure you don't have any imbalances or anything like that. And that's where the love for CrossFit came through. So I didn't see myself doing it at all. It just was very fun, and you get really fit. So that is why we started with CrossFit. And then obviously when we had university, you have to do what the university tells you to do. You can't just go to a CrossFit gym and decide, okay, cool, I'm going to do this extra cardio piece. No, you can't do that. So so we did our own conditioning, and I actually kind of missed the CrossFit a lot at university. And then after my injury, obviously, so I dislocated my hip, and then luckily the muscles, I don't know if I was luckily, but the muscles were strong enough to pull the bone back into the socket, or the hip joint back into the socket. And yeah, and doing that, it took like the cartilage with it, and it took a couple of muscles with it as well. So I continued playing for 3 weeks after that happened, because I didn't want to tell my coaches that something was wrong. And then yeah, and then one time during practice, my aunt goes, "Why aren't you turning with the ball?" Because I wasn't landing on my leg. And then I told her, "Listen, I hurt my hip, like I literally can't do this anymore." And then is when I found out that is what actually happened. So there was quite extensive damage on my hip. So I had 3 surgeries to try and repair all the damage. And then I developed avascular necrosis in that hip joint. So it basically means the bone didn't get enough blood supply, so the bone basically died. So the only treatment for that actually is giving, the only treatment is a hip replacement. And I was 19 years old. So you don't want a hip replacement at 19. Yeah. So then the doctor's like, okay, cool. They're going to try this experimental surgery. It had success. Let's just try it. So basically what they do is they take a drill and they literally hollow out your entire hip joint and try and regenerate. Well, not that bone can regenerate, but try and like supply more blood supply to that area. So it basically just buys yourself 5 years or between 5 and 6 years with your own hip before you eventually have to get a hip replacement. Okay. So I was like, okay, cool, let's just try it. We have nothing to lose, so let's just try it. And then literally 6 weeks after that operation, I lost function. I started with my toes and then it went up from there. So it's nothing that the doctors did, nothing that we could have done differently. Because if it's something that the doctors did, it would literally happened like the next day. But obviously it happened 6 weeks after the operation. It's like a series of unfortunate events. Nobody can say why it happened to me. Nobody knows. It's just sometimes it happens and they don't know why. So after like so many tests, they likely figured out what it was, and then when they figured out what it was, they okay, cool, we have a treatment plan. So that was, luckily I have very smart doctors in my corner that stick by me, and like they like went all like through the entire way. They were stuck with me, so that was very cool, very 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 appreciative of them. But yeah, so I started out like by getting back into CrossFit because I had a spinal cord stimulator. I don't know if you know what it is, but probably nobody knows actually what it is. So
explain to me what that is.
So basically, I was diagnosed with dystonia that is kind of like Parkinson's, and also CRPS, that's complex regional pain syndrome. It's basically a nerve disease. So so one of the options was the spinal cord stimulator, and a year after my diagnosis, they're like, okay, we're going to try this. It works for some people, it doesn't work for other people. It's like, okay, let's just try it. But it's like 150,000 rand trial run, so it is like it's expensive.
Experimental,
experimentals, so it's like, okay, cool, let's just try it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. So within that space, I literally lost all function in my leg. I couldn't even shower. It was like the nerves were haywire. It perceived everything as danger, if I can put it in like simple terms. So water touching my leg, my entire leg would swell up red. Everything, the nerves would just send fire signals to that area. If like my anything, my dog touches my leg, anything, like wearing socks, wearing long pants, it was crazy. So with that, my like the muscles also contract the whole time, so I don't have any control over the contractions in my leg. So that's why I wear a foot brace, because my foot has absolutely no function. My foot does its own thing, so that's why I wear a brace. So they made like a very cool brace, because my hip flexors also my core was also affected. So this brace that they made for me, I can literally, it's like a boat, it rocks you forward. So it's built like a boat at the other underneath. So it rocks me for every step I take, it just propels me forward. So that really, really, really helps. So then they said, okay, cool, let's try the spinal cord stimulator. So basically what it is electrodes that's implanted onto your spinal cord. The plate is almost not as thick as your finger, but as wide as your finger. And it goes literally, they make a little hole in your spine, and then they put it like onto the spinal cord, and there's like 16 electrodes, and they can literally program every single one of them to do a different function, basically,
wow.
or send different signals.
Mhm.
Yeah. So then the machine is underneath my skin, in my, like on my belly. So it looks
Wow.
like I have an ab implant. Yeah, it looks like I have an ab implant every single time I take off my shirt, because you can't really see it. So that's just why I call it my ab implant. So that's that thing they can program to literally do anything, like to like the nerve signals is haywire, and that just kind of streamlines it. So the CRPS is also, it can spread, so they don't want to. This machine kind of like stops the spreading as well. It contains it to that area, and also it kind of helped me walk, because it like streamlines the signals as well. So that's kind of cool. That really helps. And so they did the experiment, and for me it worked. So there's like, okay, cool, let's go forward with this. But the battery pack, it only lasts for 5 years. So I have it now for like, I think 3 or 2 years. I have it for 2 years. So because my settings are also so high, they said, no, this battery is probably going to be flat within the next year. So probably have to get a new one soon. Yeah,
so is that in another operation, soon, but obviously, so that you have to go into theater and they replace it like that?
Yes, basically. Yeah. So you can get a rechargeable one, but then like every week you have to plug yourself into a wall, and I don't want to do that, especially with problems we have in ESCOM at the moment. I don't want to do that.
South Africa, that is not an option in this country. That is just not an option. For our international listeners, we have what we call load shedding, and that means they decide when you have electricity and when you don't. So Letchen and I completely understand as a South African that is definitely not an option. So with this implant, the difference that you can feel from when they when it was inserted into your spine and prior to that, how long before you started walking again or gained a little bit of, I know you'd have little function to no function in your foot, but in the leg, I know there's a lot of videos on Facebook and on Instagram where that you shared of you starting to walk again. So how long before you got that implant?
So it probably took so the recovery process was about 6 weeks. And after that 6 weeks, I told myself, I literally woke up one day and I was feeling so sorry for myself, like the whole way through. And I was like, okay, literally woke up one day, it's like, I miss exercising. Like I miss that feeling. I literally emailed the gym that I was in high school. I emailed them telling them the situation, like, can I please just have a little corner in the gym that I can do my own thing? Like, I don't want to go into classes. I don't want to do anything. I literally just want to go and do my own thing. And he's like, yeah, sure, come, you can come and join. I was like, okay, great, thank you. So with that, it took, like I said, it took a whole while. And I think it's like, I'm still figuring out stuff, but it took like probably, I think in a space of maybe a year to figure everything out. And I was like doing rehab 3 times a week out of like a rehab center. So it was like 1 hour every single day of being, I'm so sorry, 3 times a week being at that rehab center, and then an hour a day by myself doing rehab as well, because I absolutely hated doing rehab. So I was like, okay, cool, you hate it, so maybe just incorporate it into stuff you like. So when I went to the gyms, like, okay, maybe incorporate it in one or other movement, but because it is so irritating doing rehab. It's because also with neuro issues, you have to like repeat every single thing. You have to repeat it so much to get that path flowing again. And it's like sometimes you have it and other times you don't. So sometimes like one movement I can do like perfectly, and then the next moment I completely forgot how to do it. Like I have no idea what I just did, and I now have to do it again and I can't do it. So it's kind of, you don't actually know. So that happened to me in one of the events at the games now. I had to do a rope climb, and then my legs just couldn't function. I had no control what to do with it. So I couldn't finish that event. So it happens. It's not something I can control. So it just happens. You can either, normally I like distract my brain, if you can say it like that. So my leg would, I call it would throw a tantrum. So it wouldn't listen to me at all. So then I would take my fingers and I would tap my strong leg. I would just tap it. So I distract my brain from doing or focusing on the leg that's not working at the moment. So I just distracted, and then I can continue on from there. So it's all stuff you learn from, stuff I learned from physio, stuff I learned from people all over the place, just just telling me, okay, maybe try this and you see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So yeah, so stuff you're trying to figure out along the way.
Wow. Now, Letchen, you said that obviously the hip got so much damage that they tried to, with this experimental experimental operation that they did, and with everything that happened afterwards, do you still need to get a hip replacement eventually?
Yeah, probably within the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
And what effect will that have on the condition?
It will probably make it worse, but I normally when stuff like this happens, or when I just say, no, that's future Letchen's problem. That's not my problem at the moment. So yeah, it will make it worse. But like what I said to myself, I've been through it once, so I can go through it again. I know what to do now. But yeah, like I said, it will probably, like any trauma, will make it worse. That's why you try to keep trauma at a minimum. So you don't, so they don't know actually, but obviously with a movement disorder like the dystonia, you can't have your muscles contract in weird positions, otherwise obviously you will dislocate your new hip. Wow. So luckily that is the doctor's problem. That's not going to be my problem. He needs to figure that out. I need to figure that out, how he's going to do that. But like I said, I normally tell myself, no, I don't have to worry about that now. That's future Letchen's problem.
That's a good way to look at it. Now, Letchen, I have to ask, you waited a few weeks before disclosing the severity of your injury to your coach. If you immediately told them what was happening, would the outcome have been different? I know you don't want to think about the history, but I'm just trying to put it in perspective.
So I actually, maybe, I have no idea. Normally that what if, so when I went back and thought about everything that happens, also that like what if I chose to go to the water polo scholarship and not the netball scholarship, what had happened then? So that what if I was stuck a long time, like what if I did this differently? What if I told them from the start, listen, something was not right? I have no idea. So maybe something else would have happened. Maybe, I don't know, like that's the thing, you don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe something else, maybe I could have I don't know, maybe in America got something else. I don't know. Like, I told them something, if I would tell them I've got hurt, and they're like, oh, sorry, you still need to play. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. So I was stuck on that for a whole while, like thinking, what if I did this? What if I did that differently? But then I realized, if you think about it all the way like that, like it's not going to get you anywhere.
And this happened at quite a young age, and you obviously had a bright, and I use the word had because obviously at that point you didn't realize after your injury that what the future actually had in store for you. But talk to us about the mental thing about coming to grips with what happened, and the fact now that you had 2 scholarships for 2 different sports and you were genuinely very, very good in both, and now you probably won't be able to play any sports, because that's probably what did the doctors tell you at the end of the diagnosis? Say, I mean, you there's a video of you lying in bed trying to bring your left leg up, and I mean, you can just see you've got no control over it. So talk us about what the doctors told you, and then that mental process of coming to grips with, this is my future now.
So they also, at the MRI, for the first my first hip surgery, they didn't realize the extent of the damage. So only when the doctor like went into my hip with the operation, they saw the extent. So I woke up thinking I was going to play again, and then when I woke up, obviously my dad told me, no, the doctor said this is not a good idea anymore, just because the cartilage was torn from 12 to 6, and they thought it was only from 12 to 3. So there's literally no cartilage, like there was no cartilage left. So that waking up to that was not, like, I didn't think I really like completely understood what was happening. And obviously I went from being like a top level athlete to literally can't do anything for myself. I literally couldn't put on my own socks. I had my parents to put on my socks or put on my pants on. So that was that mental aspect was absolutely I didn't want to leave the house. That was it, because I was ashamed for people seeing me like this, because obviously you was an athlete, you had such an amazing future ahead of you, and you also, everyone's like, no, you're gonna make Proteas, just carry on, and like, how are you starting, or how are you doing, and everything. And then we're going from that to, listen, you are struggling to walk. And then I was visiting a friend at a hospital. That's like first time like being out there, not actually like being out there, and like not just going to rehab or stuff like that. And then there was 3 guys walking past me, and I heard them laughing, and I was still walking like quite strangely, and they were laughing, and I looked back and I saw they were mocking the way I was walking. And it was at a hospital, it's a hospital, so you would think people would maybe have like a bit compassion. So I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to see any people. Like I cut off so many people from my life, just because I didn't want to let people see me like this. And also I was on like very, very high doses of like pain medication, and like they're trying out different medications to see what will work. I was on Parkinson's medication and everything. So I think I never fully understood actually what was like completely going on. I was literally taking everything day by day. Because you can't plan like anything. I was living from doctor's appointment to doctor's appointment. And because both of these diseases are very rare, nobody actually knows like the outcome. So nobody knows like how this is going to affect you as a person, because everybody is different. So I told the doctors, like, I'm doing this CrossFit thing. Is it fine? It's like, whatever works, just do it. So I saw, especially with the CrossFit, like how amazing that like the functional fitness aspect is absolutely. Like I literally, whenever I meet like someone with a disability, I literally just go to them and say, have you tried functional fitness? Because this works. It works. So yeah, it's like I said, for being the mental aspect, there was very dark times, like very, very dark times, like literally like how, like I said, I felt so sorry for myself, because I was bedbound for so long. Like I didn't have the energy, I didn't have nothing, I didn't want to get out of bed, I didn't want anyone to see me. And also like getting that courage to go back into the gym and going to a place where everybody knows, like they knew how I was and the net player I was. Like I was the fastest team, I had the highest vertical jumps, my legs were like my strongest point. So going from that to literally not even being able to walk is kind of, it feels degrading, but it's not. But at that moment in time, you have like tunnel vision, and you always feel like everybody's watching you. Everybody's like, oh, shame, don't worry, it's a shame, look at her. And I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. So that mental aspect was absolutely, that was horrible. But then, like I said, one morning I literally woke up, was like, stop it now, like this is getting out of hand. And I saw a lot of I did see a psychologist as well, and he literally, like I said, you get tunnel vision, and he was like, hey, there's a light coming from out here, like maybe just like look left or look right. And he made me see like, and you would ever run again, but your run may look a little bit different, and that's fine. And that made like opened my eyes for so many things. Like literally, like I said, like you the only limit you give is the only limit you have perceived as a limit you put on yourself. So if you say like, listen, I can't do this, then you can't do this. The moment he's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna try, maybe it's just gonna look a little bit different, then it changes a whole lot of things.
It's a good mindset to have. Obviously it took you a few weeks or a few months to get to that point, but Letchen, then I mean, obviously you learn how to walk again, because I just think our listeners and people that's watching on YouTube need to understand that you didn't have any function at the lower part of your leg. I mean, if you look at your legs, you can still see your quads are still, I mean, it looks quite, still built, but the bottom part you can see, you're struggling. So obviously you had to learn to walk. You said earlier that your parents had to help you get dressed, but you obviously managed to do all of that things on your own now. You are back to, being on yourself. Are you completely independent? Can you drive?
Yeah, I drive a manual car, so that is fantastic.
Okay.
I don't have to worry. I'm not a manual car, sorry, automatic car, not a manual car, sorry.
Yeah.
I had a automatic car, so that is absolutely fantastic. I had a manual car, but obviously had to sell that one to get the automatic car. So I can drive, I can do anything. I have, I'm a full-time student and I work full-time as well. I work for an amazing company that I can work from home. So that is also very, very nice. I'm in my final years of studying, so that is also very fun. Can't wait for it to be over. I'm finished with this.
What are you studying? You haven't told us yet. What are you studying?
I'm studying business management.
Cool. And are you working for a company in that doing what you want to do one day in business management?
Yes.
Oh,
so I'm a business analyst. So I'm a business analyst, or like a junior business analyst. We're kind of like a startup, kind of not a startup, but we've been in business for like 5 years, so it's kind of still in the startup phase. But so I absolutely love what I'm doing. It's literally I think what I'm studying for. I get to use what I'm studying, so that's also very good to do. But so that was kind of at the like training for the games, and being a full-time student and working full-time was actually it wasn't very fun. So I had to be I had to be in the gym by 5 and then train to 6:30. Then had to be at work at 7:30 so I can leave at 4 to go to the gym. So again in the afternoon, and then after the gym I had to study. So it was not very fun for the past few months, but it's stuff that I knew. I had a goal in mind, and this is the sacrifices that I needed to do. So I didn't have any weekends, because weekends was for studying and for exercising. So I knew what sacrifices it took, and I think that is also part of the like most athletes know that, especially for the netball, that came from the netball aspect, like what sacrifices you have to make in order to get the result you want. So if you know your goals, then making that sacrifices isn't easy, is much easier than saying no, it's fine, I don't actually have a goal in mind. So it was difficult, but it was easier because I know what my goals were, and I know like it is. Like obviously the motivation behind it isn't to impress anybody else, it's to show myself how far you've come. So that was like the motivation going into the games, is just to show myself, not compete against anybody else, not compete against the person next to me, but just to show like, this is what I can do, this is where I came from, and this is what I can do at the moment. So
now, so you found your little corner in the old gym, and you worked in your rehab with the training and so on. Tell us about that process, then getting back into CrossFit full time, and then obviously how you got to CrossFit PBM. Was PBM the place that you trained when you were still at school, or how did you end up with PBM?
No, so I went to RTF, strength and conditioning, so they're not a CrossFit gym anymore. So I had my own little corner. Like I said, I didn't talk to anyone. I was so shy. I didn't want to talk to like literally anyone. And then one time I was still swimming. And then one time, one of the girls came up to me. She's my best friend at the moment, but she came up to me and she's like, I hear you swim. Can I please come with you? And I'm not, literally, I didn't think anybody was noticing me. I was like, okay, fine, you can. And she literally inserted herself right there and there into my life. And I'm so appreciative of her for doing that. But so she like roped me into her friend circle that was at the gym. So I kind of met people through that. And so that was like 2019. So I met everybody there. But like I said, I did my own thing. I literally tried to figure out how movement looks for me at the moment. So how can I do a squat? How can I do a push-up? How can I do a sit-up? So just figuring out, obviously with the physios and everything, that I would literally do it by them, and it's like, okay, cool, this is how you can do this. And then I would go practice it at the gym as well. So like, if, for instance, for rowing, we figured out I can put my left leg, so that's the leg that is not working very well, I can put it on a skateboard, and then I strap my right leg in, and then I can row from there on without any hesitation. And also the ski, I literally don't put any weight when I'm on the ski erg. I don't put any weight actually through it. I can literally, my right leg is strong enough to to go with it. And obviously with assault bike, you can use your arms.
Yeah.
So that is fine. So so with for burpees, I do basically one-legged burpees, but it's everything that I needed to figure out. I felt like I need to figure this out on my own before I like entrust myself with my abilities in someone else's hands that like doesn't know me or know how I can move. So and then lockdown happened, obviously. So I was training for I think 6 months at RTF again, and then lockdown happened. And then we had equipment that we can hire from the gyms and still pay your membership. So that was kind of cool. So I did that at home. And then I heard about this thing called WheelWOD. That is adaptive CrossFit Games, basically, but it's not part of the CrossFit Games. It's only for adaptive people with disabilities. And then I was like, cool, I want to do this. Like, I'm a competitive person. So like, cool, I want to do this as something I can actually work for. So I was like, okay, cool. During lockdown, that was my goal. Cool, I want to go to the WheelWOD Games because I don't know CrossFit is going to include us. I just want to know. I just want to go for the WheelWOD Games. I had that mind during lockdown the whole time. So okay, cool. This is what I'm training for. I have a goal in mind. It keeps you busy during lockdown. My gym was kind enough to give me a rower because I obviously can't run, so they were kind enough to give me a rower, so that was kind of cool. So I did like a marathon row so marathon row is a 42 kilometer row that I did one morning here at my house, just because I can. The people ask me, why do you do things like this? Because I can do it, and I couldn't do it, and now I can.
I think a lot of CrossFitters, a lot of CrossFitters, if you don't have a disability, people ask, why do you do it? Because we can.
Yeah.
We've somehow found joy in basically really hurting ourselves. Sorry, continue.
Yep. So that basically is just because I can. That's literally all that's when people ask me why I do stuff, it's like because I can. And then I realized I needed something more that I was getting at the gym. Like I needed coaching. I liked the team aspect as well, like being part of a family and all of that. And then I was searching for a new gym because I still train at RTF. I still train there in the mornings, but I just wanted like a team and a group aspect because I felt like that is what I will need for me to be able to succeed or do better or be a better athlete, is to be part of a family and not just me by myself the whole time. And then literally PPM was like the first gym I contacted, and they're like, okay, cool, just come see what happens. I was like, okay, I'm gonna come. First, I literally went there. I didn't have my clothes, my training gear on or nothing. I went to them. I just talked to them. I literally explained what happened, what I can do, what I can't do. It's like, it's fine. We're gonna put you in front of the class, like you're gonna be in front, and we will watch you the whole time, see how you move, see how we can better it. And that was like literally the first day I was there. It's like, okay, cool. I like this. This is what I need. And then they opened their arms to me. Like, obviously there's stuff I don't want to do because it is like, let's say for instance, I can't do step ups on my left leg because I can't get my leg up. So then my coach was like, no, we have to train this is something you must be able to do. So we would take a plate and I just have to try to get my leg up. I don't have to do it, just have to try. And for me, I don't like doing that because it like sets you apart from the rest of the class because you struggle and you don't want people to always to see that struggle. But it forces you like straight out of your comfort zone, and that is exactly what I needed. It's someone to force me out of my comfort zone, because that you don't always you like being in your comfort zone. That is a fun place to be, but sometimes you need someone, and I'm so appreciative of that. Like, and also they don't let me feel sorry for myself, and that is fantastic. So that is like the best thing. Like you if you lay there, it's like, no, you can do this, let's just change this a little bit and then you can do it. And that is exactly what everybody needs. And that's, I think CrossFit is so nice, because I do the class with everybody else. They just change my movements a little bit and I still get the same stimuli. I still get everything the same as everybody else in the gym gets out of it. It is like custom made to my abilities and anybody else's abilities. That if you can't do a pull-up, you can do a jumping pull-up or pull-up with a band. So, and you still get the same stimuli as somebody doing butterfly pull-ups.
Yeah.
So that is why I said, like, I absolutely love CrossFit, because it is cater-made to your abilities. And that is how I like basically ended up at them. And that is the absolutely best decision I've ever made, is like going to a CrossFit gym that literally had classes and the family aspect, like the amount of support they gave me, like during the training sessions and during like advice they would give me and say, okay, cool, this is how you tackle this workout. And during the last event at the games, my coach was with me. She's like, I told her, because we had to do 40 kilogram thrusters and burpees. And I was like, okay, 40 kilograms, it is like an irritating weight. So it's heavy, but it's not too heavy. So you can go unbroken. It's just going to be, you're going to hurt, but it's too light to break it up. So I was like thinking, okay, cool, let's break up the first set, and from there on you go unbroken. And she's like, nope, you go unbroken from the start.
It's
so
the last
like,
workout.
Okay, this is gonna be fun.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You go out.
No, so she's like, no, you have to first. Yeah, she's like, no, you're going unbroken. I was like, oh, okay, fine. So when unbroken, luckily didn't hurt as much as I thought it was gonna hurt. But luckily, like I said, went unbroken. So grateful for them for telling me like, no, because you have your own idea. She's like, no, you have to go unbroken. It was fun. I'm glad I did it, because because at my time, I'm glad I did it. So, but it is the family aspect and the coaching and everything. I highly encourage like anyone, not just to join like a gym, but join a gym where you can be part of the family. That is like the best.
And I think the box that you chose, now for the American listeners, the other listeners, we've only had a select few people in our country actually go to the games, even though South Africa, we've been doing CrossFit for a very long time, but there's only a select few boxes that actually have athletes and coaches that's gone to the games. Now, PBM is one of those boxes that I think you were the 10th or 11th athlete that's actually gone to the games from that box. So, and the coach that went with you, that went with you was also part of a team. She was part of the team, I think, which year was it? 2015, I think, that she went. Am I correct?
So it's a sister. It's a sister.
Oh, okay. So, but anyway, so you in quite capable hands, people that have the experience, not just as coaches, but obviously as competitors on a really, really high level. And of course they know programming. They have one of the biggest competitions in South Africa, the Pretoria Throwdown. So I think you definitely chose the right box for you. Now Letchen, you said that you trained for wheel WOD. Did that ever happen? And how did you then decide, okay, well, obviously then they announced that they have the adaptive categories for the open. That must have been great news for you.
Yeah. So I did the wheel WOD Open last year in November. So it was my first, let me say, in like online competition. So I won the Open. And then that gave me a ticket to the second qualifying round, if you can say something like that. And then in March, they're like, just before March, like, hey, we're getting the adaptive community like included at CrossFit Games. I'm like, what is this? This is so cool. So I did that, and I won the Open, the CrossFit Open for our division. And then I was like, cool, if we didn't even know that we were going to the games. We only found out, I think, in June or something, I think we only found out in June that we can go to the games. So, and then wheel WOD is actually in November of this year, but they scheduled the competition like smack bang in the middle of my exams. So I told them like, listen, this is my final year of studying. I don't want to do this again. I'm gonna, so I did qualify for the second round. I was like, okay, I'm not going to participate. I'm going to do the workouts, but I'm not going to participate and log my scores, because I'm going to take the opportunity away from someone else. Because I know already that I can't go. So I didn't compete, but I did the workout. So I knew where I was, like fitness wise, how I was. And then obviously the games came, and they're like, okay, cool, I can go to the games. And that is literally in my like vacation for studies. I think I only missed one class, so that I kind of had to catch up, but that's fine. So I literally only missed one class in the 2 weeks that I was in America. So that for me was like a bonus. So obviously next year I want to do both, and I think Wadapalooza is also having the adaptive divisions as well. So if there's something that I can do, then I really like, obviously the more exposure you get, the better athlete you will be as well. Like the games was my first in-person CrossFit competition like ever, so that was also kind of a very big learning curve. Yeah. So we're not doing it this year, but definitely if I qualify next year, I will definitely do it again. Yeah.
Now, Letchen, going to the games is, I mean, that's huge. Even though you didn't know from the start, even winning the Open, that they will be bringing, you know, the adaptive athletes to the games. Actually, take us through that, because you posted a picture of the email that you received as well that said congratulations that you've qualified for the games. And then, I mean, making it there's so many, you know, athletes that it's always such a big thing to get the money, because we live all the way at the bottom. I always say we live in the anus of the earth just because it's so far from everything. I mean, making that trip and having a coach with you. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so we set up a backer buddy, and also people that was actually the backer buddy helped so much. I got so many people involved, and also the guy from Fit Like Africa, he also like made a whole competition and stuff out of it, and people like signed in, like, you know, sign up. His fee is basically in a donation you give to the backer buddy, and so much prizes you can win, and he organized everything. And then we wanted to do something at the box, but then COVID happened, and then lockdown, the third lockdown happened, and all gyms were closed, and we couldn't do the fundraiser. But like the whole community, like I paid nothing out of my own pocket for the entire trip. Like the only thing that I paid for was obviously stuff I wanted to buy for myself. That's the only thing I had to pay for. But the food, we got someone to sponsor our entire accommodation.
Wow.
That was absolutely crazy. Like, we didn't expect that at all. Literally woke up, my coach sent me like, hey, this guy is her sister's husband. He's a pilot. He can give us all this accommodation. Like, we are sorted. So that was like 35,000 Rand. That's literally, he's like, yeah, take it. You have it. And we like got a free breakfast every single morning as well. So it also because America's food is so expensive. So that was great. So so the entire community like rallied up, and like I said, we didn't pay for a single thing. The only thing I obviously paid for was like gifts and stuff that I wanted to buy for myself. But that says a lot about the community and the support I had. So with everything, like, I knew I had a lot of people believing in me. So I had a lot of people that believed in me, like they putting this money to send over, like doing my best was absolutely the only thing that I was going to do.
And then that experience, Letchen, your division started on the Monday or the Tuesday, a few days before the individuals and the teams actually started. Talk to us about walking into the reception area, into the registration area, and it's just NoBull everywhere. I mean, how amazing is that, hey?
Yeah, I think we received about 70,000 Rand like worth of clothes.
That's crazy.
I received so many clothes. Like I had to take a extra bag on the airplane. I already had 2 bags with me, and one was like empty and the other one was half full. And I had to book another bag because they gave us so much clothes and so many shoes. So it was literally, and then you walk in, and that locker room where you receive your clothes is absolutely fantastic. You get a name tag, and you'll have your own locker set up with all your clothes. And then like my leggings didn't fit. My leggings was too big. And they're like, no, don't worry, we'll fix it. Literally tailor-made my leggings to my body. And I was like, literally, like I said, we were treated like royalty. And you walk in there and you see like all the other athletes that you met over Instagram, or you met like obviously virtual friends, because you compete together, you give each other advice, and you finally get to meet everyone for the first time. That was also so cool. And we got our badges, we got our clothes, we got literally everything. So that was literally, it is, you get there and you see your entire kit and you're like, wow, this is actually happening.
Very cool. And some of you, I mean, we all have our athletes that we really look up to and that inspire us. And, you know, you go, yes, I wish I could train like that, or I have that ability. Talk to us about the athletes that you got to meet, and the idols that we, especially for us that live on the other side of the earth, you know, we look up to these athletes. Who did you get to meet?
I got to meet so one of my idols is obviously Noah Olsen, not because like his like there's the way like he carries himself. That is something like I really look up to, because he absolutely carries himself so well. So we got to, and after like the entire ceremony, he went up to us, he like went to talk to us, how it went, like congratulations and everything. My coach, my other coach, Gerard, that's the head of CrossFit PBM, he said, no, I have to talk to Rich, because he and Rich has some other like thing they want to do. So I have to talk to Rich Froning. So I told Gerard, I said, I will do that, but I can't promise that I'll say the right things. And then after I talked to Rich, I sent Gerard a message, and I was like, I'm not actually sure what Rich said, but I know he knows about whatever stuff you guys doing, but I'm not completely sure what he said. I'm not even sure what I said. So that was very, very cool. But my coach also, she wanted to, she took pictures with every single one. So we trained at the same before the game started, we trained at the same gym as Justin Medeiros, and he's an absolute he's a very, very nice guy. The one thing that is, so I'm quite tall, because obviously I was a netball player, so I'm about 6 feet tall. So I'm literally one of the tallest people there, because all the CrossFitters, they're very short. So that is like the first thing that I've realized, like everybody is very, very short. But like I said, we get to meet all these amazing people. You get to step on the same platform as them, and like I said, they didn't treat us any differently. Like they asked how it went, and they literally congratulated us every single time. So you get to meet all these amazing people, and that's very, very cool.
Awesome. And Letchen, looking back at a few years ago, I mean, your injury happened in 2018, and as I understand, it's not something that can heal. It won't go away. This is how it is now. Looking at where you were and your mindset back then till this past week and what happened in America, in such a short space of time, you went from my life is over to I'm on top of the world. I'm the second fittest, you know, in the world in my sport. When you look in the mirror and you look at Letchen, what do you think?
Like, I don't think it actually like sunk in yet. Like this morning at the gym, like one of the people, he was joking, but he just, because that is how people at a CrossFit gym is, and they literally were joking with me saying, yeah, we all need to shape now because we're training with the second fittest in the world. And then it doesn't sound real to me. Like everything in the past week, it's kind of like a blur. But it's a very good blur, but it's literally I literally don't think it has synced. It's like I haven't even, like, I've got so many messages and stuff and I still need to reply to, that I get overwhelmed by the amount of support, and I reply to a few and it's like, okay, I need to step back now, because it like the moment is so big that you can't like literally I need to step back and just to calm myself a bit, and then I can like go forward again. But it's like I said, I don't think it like sunk in yet at all. I know what I did, but like seeing videos of me competing, I was like, no, that's not me. That's not me. I kind of think I live kind of in denial. But I like looking back, I keep the videos on my phone. So some nights when obviously when you can't sleep, I go back to them and I see it, like I can't even, like, I can remember how it feels now. I can remember my mindset back now, but I can't ever see myself back there again, if that makes sense. So I see where I was, see where I'm at now, and like I'm literally, it's not just because of me and my mindset, it's because of all the support I've got and everything. Everybody is rooting for me and everything. But like that mindset that changed, like literally, it's not something, like I said, it wasn't a gradual, maybe it was gradual, and just that one morning I was like, this is the next thing. But yeah, like there's not, I don't, like I said, I don't think it's sunk in yet. It is obviously a goal that I worked for like the past year, but for 6 months when they announced the categories. But it's literally, like I said, I don't think it's sunk in yet. It probably will in about 2 weeks time. Then I'm probably gonna, because just at the moment I don't want to like wear my games gear at all, because I feel like, no, not yet, like that didn't happen. So, and then every now and again, like, oh wow, this did happen. So they reposted my video on the CrossFit Games site.
Yeah.
And then I was literally, sometimes I would watch the video. I was like, no, that's not me. that's not
amazing.
me. And then they kind of realized that, okay, wait, that is you. You did do the. Especially with that. So we had our first event was a run.
Yeah.
And I obviously can't run. And then I usually, when I run with crutches. Like I have crutches that were specifically made for me. And then when I got there, I'd tell them, listen, can I run with my crutches? They're like, no, sorry. And I was like, okay, now what? Now what? Now what can I do? I have to run 5 kilometers now now what? Yeah. So me and my coach are like, okay, listen, we can't change anything about this. You just have to go. So I had to run 5 kilometers, but it's actually like a hop and a skip, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I move. So I had to do
you are
that.
propelling yourself in the right direction at whatever pace you are moving.
Basically. But I like, the cutoff time was 40 minutes, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna finish this in 40 minutes, because that's just who I am. I know I'm gonna finish dead last, but I want to finish this event, not because like I'm in a competition, but because I want to prove to myself I can do this. So I had my pace set on my watch, and I was like, okay, cool. Because we had to do 3 laps. Like every single lap, I need to be under this certain amount of time. And I kept my pace consistent. I think I made it in 39 minutes. Wow. So I was like, I made it. I did this, I finished. But it was not a very nice event to have. And they did say they are sorry for making me run. They did say that. So I was like, okay, cool, thank you guys, because that was not very nice. I still have a very, very big blister underneath my right foot, because obviously I'm like hopping on it for basically 5 kilometers. So I still have a very big blister, but luckily with netball, you're kind of used to it. So like within the first mile, I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to have a very big blister. Like you can feel it.
Feel it forming.
I'm like, okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, this is going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it now.
Now, Letchen, you're a born competitor. You've been in sport all your life. You are now a CrossFit Games second fittest in the world. Obviously, your eyes are set back at the games, and clearly, obviously, and I'm saying obviously because I can believe that is the truth, that you want the gold. So your training, do you have an off season? How does the rest of the year look for you?
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, I want to go for gold, and the events that I could do at the games, I either placed first or second. So like the first event, like I said, I can't run, so there's nothing I can do. I finished dead last. So and then the second event, obviously of the run, my second event didn't go well. That was the rope climb one. Like I literally my leg couldn't function anymore. So it happened. There's nothing I can do. So after those 2 events, I was like, literally, there's not. I only came second with about 15 points. So I knew that like I wasn't going to catch the person that is first. So I was like, hey, I'm just going to enjoy it further. Like luckily they had us do toes to bar, and I don't have hip flexors. So how can you do toes to bar without hip flexors? So luckily I went to them, I showed them, listen, I can't do toes to bar. I showed them my movement. Luckily they were very accommodating. I think after the run, they're like, okay, maybe we need to listen to her when she said she can't do something. So I showed them what I can do, and they're like, okay, cool. They can see I'm trying, and then the movement restriction is there. So luckily they made an exception for me for the toes to bar. So like I said, with all the other events, I'm literally set for goals. All the events that I could do, I finished either first or second. So like, okay, I know that my training went well for the preparation for the games. So I'm still gonna do the same. Obviously, just need to we're figuring out how to tire my leg out before and doing movements that I'm not used to, so that what happened if the second event doesn't happen again in the future, if I ever compete, like go back there again. So so at the moment I'm taking, my coach said, take 2 months, literally just enjoy training. Obviously I enjoyed training a lot, but don't wake up at 5 every single morning and to go train and do extra programming. Just if you want to go train at 5, then go train at 5, but it's not something that I have to do at the moment. So if I want to go swim, I can go swimming. I don't follow a set program for the next 2 months, and then it's 4 months till the open again in February. So then we go for that again. So that's going to be fun. And then, like I said, if there's a Waterpalooza or Wheelboard Games again, obviously I can't go now in November, but if it's again, that's definitely something I will be able to train for. And then obviously if there's a competition in South Africa for any CrossFit competition, I will try and organize that I can just compete, just like I would just compete with everybody else. I can't do everything that they want, but just talk to the organizers and see how maybe we can accommodate my movements and everything, so that I can still get like the exposure to a competition and not just go overseas every single time for a competition. So that is also like kind of in the pipeline. I know. Yeah. So that is also kind of in the pipeline. I did talk to Last Man Standing yesterday. They said they're working something else, so that's also very cool. And also like the adaptive community in South Africa is amazing. I know Vic is doing so much from Wasp Fitness. He's doing so much for the adaptive community. So we're trying to get like everybody else rallied in, and we had like an adaptive training opening at RTF. There's actually like an entire group of them training together on Saturdays. So it is growing, and I think that is also what I wanted to show when going to the games. Like, it's bigger than myself, like just to show everybody in South Africa, also the adaptive community, like you can also be here. If you work harder, you can also be here. So it's a little bit bigger than myself. Just to make the adaptive community in South Africa also grow. Like I said, I know how functional fitness like helped me, and if I can literally show someone like this is how much CrossFit helped me, it can help you as well. Then I'm not saying you have to go to the games, not at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like how much functional fitness can actually benefit you, because not everybody needs to go to the games, or needs to. If you're not going to the game, if you're going to the games, then you're less of an athlete. If you literally just pitch up at the gym, it's, for some people it's the same as going to the games. So, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Letchen, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me. And I think what you've proven for the whole of the South African CrossFit community is like anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And setbacks, it's not the end. I mean, there's always ways around it. And I think you've proven that to us, that if you just put your mind to something and you work hard with what you have, anything is possible. And I'm very excited to see what you're going to do in the Open, and see you back in America next year, bringing back the gold. I think you've got a bright future ahead of you, and it's great that our South African CrossFit community, especially the competitions, they will be including, hopefully following suit with what the Games is doing, including adaptive athletes, and hopefully you'll be in the front of that. So Letchen, thank you so much. If our community, whoever wants to follow you on social media to see what you're up to, where you're competing, your progress in training, where can they follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram on Letchen DP. So Letchen is LETCHEN _DP. That is my that's my Instagram handle. Mostly post on Instagram. I've mostly post also about my dogs. So be prepared to be spammed with a lot of pictures of my dogs. I really like them a lot. So they are two. There's Hansi and Griekie is the two dogs.
So cute.
So they're my pride, and that is my pride and joy. So I'm normally spam my Instagram with me training and me and my dogs. So if you want to see my dogs or me training, you can follow me on there. I'm not as active on Facebook, but we are mostly active on Instagram.
Awesome. Letchen, once again, thank you so much, and keep well and enjoy the next 2 months of just resting and getting fit, but then back at it in 2 months time for the Open in February.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Just Elite. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and please, please, please leave a comment.